Off top, in 1913, an Ohio couple mailed their infant son to his grandma's house. Play the music.
This is the Domonique Foxworth Show.
All right, welcome to the Domonique Foxworth Show. We got a special episode for you. We stayed up late to watch Jokic do whatever the hell he wanted to do. He had 40 points, 13 assists, and I think 0 turnovers is the most impressive stat of them all. I'm here. Charlie Kravitz is here in full Jokic-gasm. He has been texting me and calling me and can't stop praising Jokic for his incredible performance. So, Charlie, where do you want to start, bud?
I mean, Nikola Jokic mailed his 5 infant children back to Minnesota, which is the entire Wolves roster.
No, I refuse to. At 4, maybe 4. Anthony Edwards, I will protect him for now. He's not an infant child.
One gigantic infant, Rudy Gobert, 4-time Defensive Player of the Year, who Jokic completely embarrassed in this game. Dominic, do you have something you need to say to Nikola Jokic after this
I thought you were going to let me off the hook.
No.
You're not going to let me off the hook? Yes, I would like to congratulate Nikola Jokic and also say you're welcome for properly motivating you to demonstrate your true greatness. What he did tonight was incredible. So, yeah, I think this is like how people demand sports apologies often. I think it's kind of ridiculous and absurd. However, if there ever was a time, yeah, if you are a listener, you might have remembered a couple days ago when I kind of called out Jokic. Well, I didn't call out Jokic. I don't want to over dramatize it. I just got to point it out that last year was a bit of an easy run. And right now, we've never seen them or him with their backs against the wall and a hostile situation, not environment, but hostile situation. Well, I guess they did have a hostile environment, those 2 Minnesota games. We've never seen them overcome that thing that we've seen champions do in the past. And they were in a pretty bad situation. And they won 2 games on the road. And Jokic has been incredible the whole time. So there's really nothing left for him to do but finish out this run and win the title that it feels like he already won based on tonight's performance. And he's up there in the conversations with all the all-time greats. So I don't think I owe him an apology, but he did a thing that we said that he needed to do. He did it. Good job. Great job.
Great job, Nikola. No, I mean, look, tonight's the night he got his MVP trophy. TNT didn't flip over from the Knicks game to show the
Knicks blowout.
Knicks blowout to show the 3-time MVP getting his trophy. After Shaq told him when they announced the award that he didn't deserve it, and Jokic ripped off 3 games in a row. And sorry, we're going to go into sports cliches with this because this is a game that if they go on to win the title, we're going to remember. Like, the Jokic haters were creeping out of the woodwork to say he was never that good. And since then, he's obliterated this Wolves team. And it's a legacy game for him. It's a legacy game for Gobert, who did his best, but now has this weird spot in history where, he's won 4 Defensive Player of the Years, but the same thing keeps happening. And he was completely caught with his pants down by Jokic over and over and over again. And the thing about this is nothing about this game was a fluke. This is the Minnesota offense that we've seen all year. Edwards has been unbelievable in this postseason, but he's a 22-year-old and he's going to have games like this. And Jokic, try and double Jokic, he's going to find the open guy. 13 assists, 0 turnovers. You don't double him, he annihilates Gobert. He takes the Wolves went on that mini run in the third quarter. And Jokic is absolutely not. I'll just go 7 for 7 against Gobert up until the fourth quarter. And I don't even have enough adjectives for this. It's preposterous, his touch around the rim.
Yeah, that is crazy. I'm sure Gobert has lots of fancy French words to describe how preposterous his touch around the rim is.
Sacre bleu.
So Cortez is hitting the side chat with a lot of embarrassing stats, including entering the fourth quarter. Jokic was 7 for 7 when Gobert was the primary defender. Also, according to StatMuse, 35 and 10 playoff games by center. Jokic has 9 of those games. Every other center since 1965 has 5 combined.
Can I take one more thing about Gobert quickly before we get off the Wolves too
Sure.
quickly?
No, I got a Wolves piece, but yeah, get some more Gobert hate out there, and then let me
It's
say my
not
Wolves
Gobert
thing.
hate, but like people are gonna say like, oh, well, what else could he have done? How can you guard Jokic like any better? Like, look, here's the thing: these things matter, and the performances matter. Like, imagine if Ben Wallace hadn't ever been able to like guard Shaq in the 2000 in the early 2000s when they upset the Lakers. Like, when you're this historic defender, you can't go out there and just be absolutely cooked by the guy.
I mean, I think it's completely unnecessary clarification. I don't think anybody was would have taken what you said the wrong way. I think
But
we
I just
all
wanted to
like,
add it. I just wanted to
yeah,
add it. You're not Ben Wallace.
okay.
Ben Wallace
Oh,
is
I
cooler
thought
than you.
I thought you were suggesting that somebody listening to this right now is thinking, but I mean, he's guarding Jokic. What else could he do? Like, that's what you're there for. It's like you're not out there for your offensive prowess. Like, you're
Mhm.
there to be a defender that's going to give problems to Jokic. We shouldn't have to do. And they it seemed like they're defensively, they didn't want Gobert on him. Like, they wanted to keep Gobert as free as possible, it seemed like. And then when they put Gobert on him, it was a problem. Anyway, the point I was going to make is they were doubling Anthony Edwards very
Mhm.
quickly across half court, getting the ball out of his hand. And injuries seem to be a much more like prevalent part of the NBA playoffs in the last several years. But Mike Conley's a name that I don't think is going to get said on many broadcasts tomorrow. But I think it's important to point out that not having him because of his Achilles issue really hurt this
Yeah.
team. Because if you notice, they would double Ant as soon as he got across half court and get the ball out of his hands. And then we saw a lot of Carl Anthony Towns as the primary ball handler. It was a 4-5 pick and roll. Seemed like their answer to getting the ball out of Ant's hands was Gobert and Towns as a pick and roll, and that is not great. Their answer could have been like mature, battle tested veteran point guard Mike Conley, who was injured. And I think that's something that's not going to get talked about, but they probably still would have lost. The game would
Yeah.
have been closer, and the offense would have been more respectable. Like, I imagine getting the ball out of Ant's hands to Mike Conley with a one-man advantage would probably lead to some better shots than they got than getting it to Cat and running a 4-5 pick and roll.
Yeah, and Cat played pretty well, all things considered, in this game. I mean, like, um, I do wanna can we just highlight for 1 second how funny the 3 consecutive charges were in the second quarter?
Ah, yeah, they were. It was the weirdest thing I've ever seen. Has that ever happened before? Probably not.
It was incredible. Alright, back to Jokic. Back
All
to our
right, let's
guy
do it.
Nikola, because he rules. This is just solidifying, like, the 4-year run that he's on. He's been the best player in the world for 4 years, and there's been detractors and question marks the entire time. But, like, it's he's by far the guy. He's been the guy this entire time, and it's I'm hoping that this is the inflection point when people realize that the run he's on is like incredibly special. Like, in NBA history, we got real spoiled with LeBron before this being the best player in the NBA for I don't know from say we want to be um conservative with the run and say it was that night in 2011 through the 2018 finals when he was just the best guy. But
Mhm.
these 4-year runs don't happen that often. Like, before that, it was split between Kobe and Shaq and Duncan, and Jordan had it before that, and then it was passed around. What Jokic is doing is like he's one of the best offensive players of all time. He's going to vault all the way into these tiers to be amongst the best centers we've ever seen, amongst the Olajuwons, this top 12, top 13 player of all time. He's sort of unparalleled in how he can dominate a game offensively with his passing and his scoring.
And the man was dunking tonight.
Oh my god.
Like, he had a point to prove. My man was
Mhm.
dunking tonight because he was angry. You're right about
That
everything you said. I
that was
do
an
think
FU,
that
by the way. That was an FU
yeah,
to the Wolves.
absolutely,
He was like,
absolutely.
"You guys think you're gonna schoolyard bully? I am going to punch you guys in the mouth, and you're gonna fold."
The conversations, like, the company that he is starting to, like, join, like, it's multiple championship company, and I think that was the point that I was trying to make before, is, like, even though we see the championship and we see the ability, like, we kind of always, like, held out for a second championship for some of these guys before we start having that conversation, but it does feel, and I very guilty of NBA playoff penduluming. I'm guilty of it, but I feel like this is the pendulum resting where it's supposed to,
The
where
pendulum
it
swung
has
from
been.
6 to midnight.
Yeah, and they what time is it right now? But anyway, the point is he's going to it feels like this team is going to continue this run. We'll see what they do against the Celtics in the championship game, but I just completely skipped both conference championships,
Yeah.
but that's the next time that there might be a test for my man Nikola.
I mean, the crazy thing about Jokic is he's 16-5 in career games in playoff series games 5 through 7. When it gets to nut crunching time, when it gets to clutch basketball, he just wins over and over and over again.
Another stat that we just got hit with is the Nuggets are shooting 46% from three over the past 3 games. Yeah, I don't know. A
Yeah,
lot
I
of
mean,
free open shots based on Jokic drawing double teams and spinning the ball to wide open shooters.
I know, but we got to give those guys credit. Like Gordon
Yeah.
has I mean,
Oh yeah.
he's been unbelievable. He had those 2 quick fouls. He didn't have another foul for the rest of the game. He's been incredible on defense, the offensive glass, like statement run killing dunks. He shot it well. Christian Brown, they got incredible contributions from tonight. KCP, I honestly think he had been a little bit hampered from the ankle injury he suffered at the end of the Lakers series, and that was like he clearly couldn't move the same defensively. 4 for 5 from three tonight. He was spectacular. So yeah, I mean, the whole team is playing well. I mean, Murray started 1 for 7 and then was really steady down the stretch. And they're able to, at any moment, the Wolves started to have a run. They could either give the ball to Jokic or run that 2-man action and get a good shot every possession.
Did you think the game was going to be close? Like I was hoping for a close game, but the whole time, even though the Warriors were keeping it tight, the whole time I was like, oh, this doesn't feel like it's gonna last. They got their coach on the sideline on crutches, and their offense also on crutches. It doesn't feel good.
Do you think it was the worst part for Rudy was that Draymond was in the TNT studio instead of the regular guys? Like that was literally the meme of the guy showing up to the funeral to just like make sure his enemy was dead.
Oh, Draymond, Draymond. So it's funny how people are kind of hard on Draymond after him attacking. I guess he's attacked a lot of people that we like to, but he's attacked 2 people that are generally not that liked, like in your boy Poole and Gobert. But then he also he punched what's that? Not
Yo,
Sarge.
Nurkic.
Nurkic in the face. He also
I
punched
mean,
LeBron in the bag. It was
as
bad.
long as Draymond's not attacking testicles, like he's fine in my
Yeah.
book.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't hear what Draymond had to say, but I do know that I'm sure he enjoyed the Jokic. But I did hear what Anthony Edwards had to say in response to Jokic's dominating performance. I just had to laugh. That's all I can do. I mean, I can't be mad because he's good, man. He's the best player in the game. The best player in the game. He was special tonight. I gotta give him props.
He's killing their will. I'll tell you what Draymond said. He said
All right.
barbecue chicken is happening. I'm a truth teller, and right now the truth is Rudy Gobert doesn't stand a chance against the Joker. It was the
We all
glee
saw
he
it.
said it with. He said it with more
Yeah.
glee than I said it.
I think I don't know who else, but I know Bomani surfaced that clip of Jokic or Murray talking about the time Jokic put up 47 on Gobert, and Gobert waved off the double team, and Jokic said to him, "But I got 47, brother." like suggesting you need the double team. And we've seen it this whole series. He can't really do nothing with him. And I do remember that I suggested that maybe he could do something with him in the first series. I'm
Well,
sorry,
no,
Nicola.
I mean,
My bad.
did
I mean, not in the first
so
series, in the
I
first
you know what?
game.
I'm gonna stand up for my buddy and my co-host Dominique here. It did seem like the first 2 games when fouls were turned off by the refs that like the length was actually affecting Jokic and speeding them up, and they were having so much trouble getting the ball up after across half court, and Jokic had to move faster than he wanted to. So there were signs that he was gonna struggle a little bit, but no, he's just a basketball computer and genius and figured it out.
The touch around the rim you pointed out is incredible. The passing is outstanding, and also like I feel like a broken record, but the post play, just like the idea that he has post moves, and that is like it feels like the core to their offense feels a little bit like a NFL team, like saying, you know what we're gonna do, smash mouth football. That always works, and they're like, no one else does this, and they just do it, and we're reminded why it's so important and why it's so helpful if you can do it well.
It's so funny that you look at Jokic and you don't realize that he has the best footwork of anyone in the league.
So
That's
good,
the thing about it. Like drop
so
steps,
good.
spins, duck under the rims. And I mean the passing was outrageous.
Yeah.
Do you if you're if you're in Boston right now, you're watching that game, is there a tiny part of you that like that team was watching that game going like
I mean, Porzingis maybe. I mean, they're confident. I think Boston's been so good all year that they're not scared of Jokic. They think that they're going to be able to do something with him, and they might be able to.
yeah, I mean, Tatum's out here being like, "We're not a super team. We don't have an MVP. We don't have a coach of the year." Well, the Nuggets do.
Yeah, I don't know. I am definitely guilty of the pendulum stuff because the Celtics, yeah, they didn't look great either against weak Cavs team. But the Celtics have it's a lot like the Wolves in that they're really good on defense. And in late game situations, I don't feel like I can rely on their offensive decision making.
You can be okay with this. Jokic has sat on the pendulum. It's not. It's not swinging back, buddy.
Yeah, you're right. I just don't want to be wrong again. Actually, I don't care. I'll be wrong.
Do you think you think the Wolves have a chance in Game 6?
Uh, I mean, have a chance. Of course, they have a chance, but I mean, I don't see it. I don't see it. I mean, it's the same thing we talked about before the series started. Their offense is meh.
Yeah, this is that's
and
the thing. We're seeing the Timberwolves offense that we saw for
yeah,
most of the year.
and then we see, in particularly in late game situations, that it's not even tight at the end of games. But if we get to a point where it's like 4 minutes left and it's a 2 minute game and there's only so many possessions left, I'm going to always feel like the Nuggets are going to get a lot more good shots in that situation than the Wolves are. The Wolves are going to give it to Ant and say, make something happen. And that's probably going to work more times than it will with most players, but it's not going to work more times than it will versus Jokic getting a good shot.
I like Mike Conley, but Mike Conley is not your savior. If you're like, oh
Yeah.
no, Mike Conley, please save us. And the other
No.
side, they're just laughing as they have that 7 foot horse of a human being tippy toeing around everyone.
Yeah. There is no savior. I mean, that's it. It's over for them. Good job, Wolves. Great start. The sad part, I think, is they feel like a young team because like Nas Reed is young and like their star is young, but they also mortgage their future for a player who seems like he's a problem right now in Gobert. And so, like, I don't know how they turn this thing into a winner around Anthony Edwards in a few years, but Tim Conley can do it. He's the man.
If you think this is going to look bad with Gobert, just wait until it's either Chet or Derek Lively.
Yeah, I mean, those guys, they're actually a young team with a lot of promise.
Yeah.
They're this season does feel like something that the Thunder, that is something that the Thunder can build on. It feels a little bit different for the Wolves, and like they're gonna have to do some revamping after this is over.
They didn't just mortgage their future for the guy that's the problem. They mortgaged the future for the guy that the Nuggets attacked over and over again tonight.
Yeah, we were also nice to Tim Conley earlier in this series. We're like, hey, we were wrong about that. You
Yeah.
did a good job. Nope.
The Wolves better hope that Gobert has another kid the next 2 days, because that was the best defensive game they played all series.
I don't think those things are correlated.
No, they're not. I'm being
Yeah,
a but it's
yeah,
funny.
you are. A-Rod may not want to buy the team anymore.
And then this is the funny thing. Now Glenn Taylor is going to want to sell the team again.
That's very true. All right, we got more stuff. We got some football coming. We got some more basketball, a little bit of time travel. My shirt's gonna change colors. Don't judge me. All right. There's a game, or a couple games we're looking forward to, but one game we're looking forward to more than others, right, my friend Charlie?
Oh yeah, your Thunder
My Thunder.
versus your Magic and your guy Kyrie Irving. So
my,
we're
my my hold up. You tired already? My who? Who are they playing?
did I
The
call them the
Mav
Magic?
the Mavericks.
I'm very flustered. We time traveled back. We're
Yeah,
taping this earlier in the day than the Nuggets game. My headphones weren't working. I couldn't hear Domonique. He's an incredibly punctual person, and I was wasting his time. He's got to go pick up his kids from school. I was
yeah.
panicked.
Does
We're
it was
talking about the
stressing you out a
Thunder
little
and the
bit?
Mavericks. We're talking about the Thunder and the Mavericks. Domonique Foxworth, I ask you, what do you think the most important things are for either team to win this game? This game 5, this pivotal game 5.
Oh, we're at a pivot game. So I don't know. I
Mhm.
think it's pretty obvious. This series has been a little bit diluted because of the injury of Luka Doncic. So like how impactful he's going to be able to be tonight, because it seems like he hasn't really been very impactful in a positive way. I guess the impact has been pretty negative for this team, missing big free throws and also just generally limping around.
I don't think it's fair to say there's a negative impact.
You want to pick some nits? I mean, the point is they're really reliant on him. It's negative for him, I guess. How's
Yeah,
that?
he's not playing well, but they would be sweep fodder if he wasn't on the floor at all.
Okay, I'm sorry that you felt I disrespected your beloved Luka Doncic. I mean, there's negative impact when you miss pivotal free throws, so that's negative.
Definitely.
But anyway, I guess my point was that their team hasn't been at full strength,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't expect them to be at full strength. Kyrie's been really impressive, even though he doesn't seem to want to fully step into the role of like, this is my team now, even though it seems clear that that's their only path to winning is if Kyrie steps it up. So those are the two big questions I have for the Mavericks side of the ball. I'll let you holler at me about my Thunder.
The Mavericks need some Luka magic on it to come massage his knee. Send him to Germany stat. No, the Thunder, I love them. They're my beloved. They might just be a little bit half baked right now. They're not a fully cooked contender. And we're gonna regret saying this before they win this game and somehow win this series? Maybe. But you watch these games and it feels like SGA forces offense a lot because he has to, because Jalen Williams has not been as good of a player in this postseason as he was in the regular season. Chet has been a breakout, but he's just merely very good right now. He's not a go-to offensive player. A lot of his defense is switchability and help defense and rim protection. And then the big thing, they got to get my man Giddy out of the lineup.
Oh,
Out of
first of
the
all, you claimed him? My
no.
man.
Yeah, you got to get your man Giddy. They got to get Dominique's favorite player, Josh Giddy, out of the lineup. Mark Dagnall he's got to go. Sit his on the bench, get him a haircut. See ya, Giddy.
Yeah,
No, I
been
mean
hurting
people have been going on and on about why it doesn't work to take him out of the lineup because they lose some of their multiplicity of ball handlers, the thing that makes that team unique. And I don't totally get it because it seems like everyone on that team should be able to handle and pass and operate offense, and they still have, Jalen Williams and SGA on the floor. But it's something to watch because he stinks, and they should be able to stink less without him in the game. But right now they're struggling to offensively. Like this team should be with an injured Luka, there should be a considerable talent gap.
I mean, he was a big part of the regular season success. So I think that my guess is they feel like maybe this is too presumptuous for me to think that Mark Dagnall is thinking like this, but he's a young player. You don't want to lose him mentally because while it seems like they don't need him this series, and actually he's making this series more difficult for them. My guess is they assume they're going to need him again in the following series or the series after that if they're so lucky. And this is like a confidence protection measure, I guess. I don't know, because I have to assume that we've talked about this earlier in the season about how good a coach Mark Dagnall is. He has to like see what we all see, and there must be some smart reason to not just sit him on the bench.
I guess he's a fine regular season player. I don't see another series where he can play in this postseason
Yeah.
because it's not just that he can't shoot; it's that he won't shoot. He doesn't get to the rim. He's not an effective player. And like, okay, so say they play the Nuggets in the next round. You know who gets to not have to exert himself on defense? Nikola Jokic, because he can just hide and sag off of Giddy in that series.
Yeah.
Let's say that the Minnesota Timberwolves win that series. You know when Rudy Gobert is his absolute best is when he's playing free safety. You know who he's not going to have to guard? Josh Giddey. You know what's going to happen if they somehow get through those teams and they get into the finals? He's going to have nowhere to hide against the Celtics, who have 5 good players on the floor at all times. Like, they're going to be a suffocating defense at every level on every team that they play going forward. There's no room. Like, we just went through this, and all right. He might not be Ben Simmons. That's a really nice thing I can say about him. He's not far off.
Well, we'll see how this game turns out tonight. I think both of us expect our Thunder to pull it out. But guess what? We got a little football news.
Oh, yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah, Jared Goff, $53 million a year. He signed a 4-year, $212 million deal with the Lions. 170 guaranteed. Do you think that the Lions made a shrewd move signing Goff to this deal?
I love when players get paid. So anyway, first, take a second to celebrate Jared Goff, especially, I mean, he's had several big contracts, or not several, but he's had a number of big contracts, 2 big contracts since he's been in the league. And obviously his rookie deal, he was the number 1 overall pick. So he's not poor, but still, he was kind of cast aside. How good is this trade, though, for everybody involved? It's like the biggest win-win trade in history. But yeah, I think it's the move that you have to make. They had the most success that they've had in decades in Detroit. So yeah, you got to pay the guy who's quarterbacking it. They paid a bunch more than just the guy who's quarterbacking it. And we all accept what Jared Goff is. He's a really good quarterback when the circumstances around him are conducive for his success. He's not a guy that's going to take a bad roster or make up for big holes. It seems that he feels confident and comfortable, and he's played well in big games. So there's really no reason not to pay him. I don't think they should be looking for another quarterback. This is not a transition place, but they're squarely within their Super Bowl window. So it's time to make a push. They've paid all these players, and this is kind of how it happens. You got to rely on the front office to continue to replenish the roster with talented rookies going forward. So you can get a discount here or there, but there are no more discounts for Sewell, no more discounts for Amon-Ra. They're going to have to pay Aiden Hutchinson pretty soon, LaPorta's pretty soon. That's the bad thing when you start drafting well, is you got to start paying well. So you got to keep drafting well or the team's going to fall off. So I think it's the right move. It's exciting for them, having been in Detroit recently for the draft. They are really excited about this team, and it was a lot of fun. And they kind of feel like, have they transitioned out of the like sweetheart? Because like everyone loves the
No, we still love
right?
them. We still love them.
They got to win a couple championships before we start getting annoyed with them.
I don't even know if we can get annoyed with Dan Campbell. Like, I really don't. I mean, did you just come up with the galaxy brain reason for why they drafted Jack Campbell in the first round last year? They're like, we need someone we don't have to pay in a couple years.
We're too good at this drafting, Ling. Let's draft the position that no one has to pay. Yeah.
I think this is really interesting because I've been on one of the hobby horses I've been on this podcast is that like I feel like sometimes teams are too precious with their quarterbacks if they don't think they're good enough to get over the hump. I think the Lions are in a really interesting position. They were one of the 3 or 4 best teams in the NFL last year, and their window to me feels right now. Like now is the time. Like I guess it's a toss up between them and San Francisco going into the season. Who people think is going to be the best team in the NFC? You have to go for it because you could look up in 2 years and the Bears could be right there in your division. The Packers could be right there in the division with them this year in theory, but really as they continue to build, that's like the youngest receiving core on offense of any of the contenders. You got to go for it now. I'm fine with it. Which like I feel like I'm taking the steam out of this debate by not saying like
Yeah.
don't pay the guy, don't pay Dak Prescott. But no, I mean I think it's like totally fine. This team is so close to winning a Super Bowl if things break right.
Yeah, there's nothing bad to say about this decision. I think yeah, it's what it is. The one I will build the straw man. I guess the straw man or the argument isn't being presented here, but I'm sure the argument is being presented elsewhere, where it's like you can't pay a quarterback like that because it means that you're gonna have to move on from the talented players around him that allow him to be successful. And of course, they're gonna have some coach turnover eventually. That's gonna be difficult. But my pushback for that is the one that you heard a bunch of times, and people listening to this may have heard before, is not the quarterback's responsibility to like take a pay cut to allow for the team to be successful. It's the general manager's responsibility to draft young, talented players. And the way that the salary structure in NFL works is you don't really pay draft picks as well as they deserve. And that's how you that's where you get the bargains. That's where you get the Super Bowl championships. That's something that also happens on a bunch of these Super Bowl teams. We often point to quarterbacks and rookie deals as like the deciding factor in teams that are competitive, but it's always also a lot of really talented players in rookie deals. And they're going to have to keep doing it. Brad Holmes doing an awesome job so far. Pretty interesting decisions occasionally, but generally a good job. He's going to have to keep doing a good job.
Yeah, I mean, he went much more by the value chart in this draft, drafting the DBs and the tackles. They got like the biggest dude ever, that like 6'8", 350-pound tackle who's a late football convert. No, I mean, in certain ways too, this decision was made last year when they didn't trade up and take Anthony Richardson, because they could have moved up a pick and gotten like Goff's replacement, and they were like, no, we're riding with our guy, and that turned out to be a fruitful decision. We'll see long term, but this is the interesting thing about football. Unless you're Bill Belichick or you have Patrick Mahomes, it's really hard to build a team that's good for a decade. You sort of have to pick your window, and it seems like now is the time in Detroit. How shocked would you be if they ended up not winning the division this year?
I wouldn't be shocked at all. That's the thing. You're talking about the Lions, right? So that's the thing with football is every year there's a team that won the division or a team that's favored that falls off. I wouldn't be that shocked. And this one, it's particularly interesting because it's a division that has one quarterback that we know to be better than Jared Goff and another quarterback that we think could be potentially better than Jared Goff and pretty talented rosters. And then Minnesota is a bigger question mark. I'd be shocked if they fall behind Minnesota. But I mean, I'd be surprised if they didn't win a division, but I wouldn't be shocked if they don't win a division.
I'm so fascinated by that NFC North because like I love Love. I love Love so much. Jordan Love, those last 8 games are incredible. And I'm hoping he picks up right where he left off. The league's more fun when you have another top 7, top 8 quarterback, and that team could be really scary. And then how cool would it be if Caleb Williams came in and just ripped it up immediately? That's like that's my only holdup in this is that like all of our I love the process here for the Lions, but it also could look really dumb if they end up being because this is gonna be one of the decisions where you can be in 3rd place and be 9-8. Like the Bengals were last in their division being 9-8 last year, and that's distinctly possible for this Lions team.
It won't look dumb. I mean, I don't think it'll make the decision look bad. It'll just look sad. Kind of embarrassing, unfortunate, but they'll be competitive.
Then we'll have thought that the window actually was last year, not this year.
Yeah,
we'll have changed our perception of the window.
Yeah, they had it pretty much done with the 49ers, but he couldn't close the door. All right, we're done now for real.
Yeah.
All right. Bye. Thanks, Charlie. Thanks, producers. Brian, Kevin, Megan, Serafina, and Tez, and we out. Oh, rate, review, download, share, comment, do those things so we can keep growing because that's important.
And subscribe and talk to me and Domonique on Twitter.
Oh yeah, well that means I have to get on Twitter. All right, I'll get on Twitter to allow you to talk to me only because rate, review, subscribe, and all that stuff.
Heard a lot of trash talk after Game 2 of that Wolves series about me calling Cat a role player. Not hearing much now, am I, trolls?
All right, we can end on that.
Trolls.
This is the Domonique Foxworth Show.